hearing in the matter of the People versus Santana Castillo will now come to order. Judge Constance Wiley presiding. Please be seated.
Mrs. Castillo, you are charged with what in effect is a hit-and-run accident, a violation of Section 514 of the Vehicular Code. But I have received a motion from the defense to reduce the charges to a misdemeanor. That's reckless driving and endangering the life of another.
Your Honor, let it be recorded that the prosecution concurs with the defense's motion.
I know, and I've read Mrs. Castillo's
Your Honor,
statement.
I'm
Yes?
sorry. I also have a sworn statement from
okay.
Eden Caswell agreeing not to press charges in civil court.
Okay. Mr. Timmons, I understand that you have an eyewitness for the incident in question?
Yeah, unfortunately couldn't appear this morning, Your Honor, but here's his deposition. There you go.
Mrs. Castillo, before I can decide whether I'm going to reduce the charges or not, I would like to hear the account of the incident in your own words.
All right.
Please come forward. Here, sit here.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, would you tell us what happened that night in question? Mrs. Castillo, what happened?
I could barely see the road in front of me. There were no lights along the roadside.
Mrs. Castillo, had you been drinking?
I don't remember. Maybe I had one.
Did you get behind the wheel right afterward?
I didn't feel as if I was drunk. I'm sure that I wasn't.
Were there any other factors that could have distracted you?
Yes.
I'm sorry, would you please speak up?
I had some personal problems. I swear, I didn't even know that I hit her. I couldn't leave Eden lying on the side of the road like that.
Mrs. Castillo, when did you discover that you might have been involved in a hit and run?
Well, later on that night when I went to the hospital with my husband, then the doctor said that Eden was going to be fine.
Well, you still had an obligation to come forward.
I know, but I swear I never knew I hit her. Did I say it was foggy out that night?
Yes, you did, and I'm sure it'll have some bearing. Mrs. Castillo, driving in this state is a privilege, not a right, and you abuse that privilege when you get behind the wheel in an emotionally disturbed state.
I know. I know being sorry for my actions doesn't make up for them.
No, it
I know
doesn't.
that.
It doesn't. And you're very fortunate in this case because your victim wasn't seriously hurt. You should be very grateful for that.
Look, I know I deserve whatever punishment I get. I promise you that I've learned from them.
Well, I'll take that into consideration when I review the evidence and the motions presented. Due to the hour, we'll recess for lunch and reconvene at 2.
With all due respect, Your Honor, I have another case on the docket this afternoon.
Well, then I suggest that you postpone it, Mr. Timmons. I do not intend to rush my decision to suit your schedule.
Of course.
I consider this a serious matter. We're not talking about a parking violation here. Mrs. Castillo's actions endangered a life. And before I make a ruling, I want to be very clear and very sure that that does not reoccur, that danger. To make myself clear to you?
Very clear, Your Honor.
All right. Hearing's adjourned till 2 o'clock. Continue now. I've had an opportunity to review the case thus far, and I must confess I still have some questions. Would you mind coming forward again, Mrs. Castillo? You see, there are certain points in your testimony, sit here, that I'm not clear about, and I'm afraid that I'm going to have to ask you to go over that night in question again. Are you prepared to do that?
I was driving south and... No, it's on Shore Point Drive, and I remember thinking that I hit a pothole or some sort of change in the road.
Mrs. Castillo, in your signed statement, you said you stopped the car and got out.
Yes, that's right. I did, but I couldn't see anything. It was so dark.
But today you said you kept driving until you felt some sort of impact.
I said that I stopped. I did stop. I'm sorry.
Your Honor, my client has been under a great emotional stress.
Yes, I understand.
Then when I found out that Eden was hurt, so I rushed over to the hospital, and I had to make sure that she was okay. I need some water.
A bailiff.
Oh.
Mrs. Castillo, we were talking about when you stopped the car.
I did stop the car. I said that I stopped the car, didn't I?
Mrs. Castillo, have you ever had a dependency problem?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I'm dependent on him. I'm dependent on my husband for his love. You see, Your Honor, you couldn't judge me any more than my husband already has. Or than she has. Or anyone else here in this room. You see, the game is over, and I lost.
That'll be all.
Your Honor, don't you see that I hated myself for being there that night?
Santana.
I think that I have some understanding now of the circumstances, and I am not convinced that they are such that no culpability can be assigned to Mrs. Castillo. I think Mrs. Castillo's emotional state, whether or not induced by alcohol or drugs, may have been a factor contributing to the accident. And her emotional state may very well have been within her discretionary control. So, accordingly, I am going to deny the defense motion and order Mrs. Castillo bound over for trial in the criminal court on the original charge. The court date to be determined, but no later than 1 month from this date. This hearing's adjourned.
Your Honor, this is ridiculous. These charges carry a mandatory jail sentence.
Mrs. Simmons, I am well aware of that.
Your Honor, in light of the fact that the
Look,
attorney himself...
I am not going to stand
Will you
and
stop
argue
it?
my decision with you.
Stop it!
You see what...
All of you just stop it right now! Are you going to send me to jail?
Mrs. Castillo, if the jury finds you guilty...
So I have already made a confession. This whole hearing has been a big joke, hasn't it? This isn't the truth. This is not the truth. This is a lie. I have lied to every single one of you. It's not going to happen anymore. That's the point. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened that night. I will tell you everything. Every single one of you here. I will tell you everything, and then you could decide exactly how crazy I am. What's the point? I'll tell you what really happened that night. I'll tell you everything. Then you could all decide just how crazy I really am. I'll tell you everything.
Santana, I realize that you might be frightened by the idea of a trial, but we need to...
I just want to say what really happened.
fine. Why don't we do that outside? We'll talk just for a few moments. Your Honor, as you can see, my client is overwrought. Short recess.
Yeah, I agree. She's obviously out of control. I don't think she's responsible for anything she's saying.
I know what I'm talking about, and I am in control. You are just afraid of what I might say. Your Honor, I am requesting a recess.
Miss Wainwright, this isn't a trial. We don't have to be so formal. If Miss Castillo wants a recess, she can ask for one. And if she doesn't, she can say that, too.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, if you need some more time, you can have it. But if you prefer to go on, you can go right ahead.
I'll continue. I wasn't alone the night of the accident. I was with someone. I said that I was alone in the car, but that wasn't true. That's the reason why I lost control of... I'm so ashamed.
Mrs. Castillo, may I ask you something?
Yes.
Are you under a doctor's care?
What do you mean?
Well, the reason I ask is, are you taking any kind of regular medication?
No, not at all. I guess I'm taking my allergy pills.
Well, what would that be? Some kind of antihistamine?
Yes, I guess. I have trouble breathing, and these seem to help me.
Well, the reason I asked is because it occurred to me that you may have taken a medication which would have impaired your judgment when mixed with just a small amount of alcohol. Now, were you taking your allergy medication the night of the accident?
I suppose I take them every day. They're not supposed to be dangerous.
All right, you said that you were not alone in the car when it struck Miss Capwell. Would you please tell us who was with you?
Keith, you know. You heard what I said.
What you say? This may not be a trial, but you can't sit down there and say anything you damn well please. Listen, these are serious charges here, Your Honor. Can't be expected to sit here and listen to this. This is a fabrication, a flat-out lie. She's slandering me in front of witnesses. This is a classic panic reaction. She didn't get the leniency she expected, so she's lashing out, trying to blame anyone she can.
Sit down.
I can't believe you condone this. This woman is obviously...
Mr. Timmons, if you don't mind, I would like to hear Miss Castillo's whole story. So please be silent, or I'm going to ask you to leave.
All right.
Now, Mrs. Castillo, I am only interested in the truth.
I am not lying, I swear to you. I know I haven't told the truth for a long time, but I am doing it now.
All right, take your time and start when you first got into the car that evening.
I didn't want to go, but Keith insisted.
Mr. Timmons.
Yes, I'm sorry.
He asked me to go for a drive with him, and I said no because I was meeting my husband and my son for dinner. But he kept saying that it would only take 20 minutes. So we argued. I finally went.
Now, when you left the house, you started in the direction of Inspiration Point.
I didn't feel very comfortable driving because it was so foggy outside, and I really wasn't feeling very well. I was very upset, very emotionally upset about a lot of things, and I didn't want to have a discussion with Keith.
Why not?
I thought we had settled some things, and I didn't want to go over them again. So we started out quarreling. I felt very uncomfortable driving because it was very hard for me to have control. Keith kept shouting at me, saying that I was going off the road. Finally, at one point, he grabbed the steering wheel because I started to swerve, and that's the point that I felt the impact. I was terrified. I could hardly see anything because it was so foggy, and I was too afraid to get out of the car. So Keith got out of the car. He went around the front, and when he came back, he said we'd only run over a pothole.
That's all he said? Not that you had hit something?
Yes, that is all he said.
Did not say anything
Mr.
because I
Timmons!
wasn't there. I wasn't in the car. Sorry.
If you hit something or someone, there is a difference than going over a pothole. Couldn't you couldn't you feel that difference?
I didn't know what to believe. I was too upset for me to think clearly. All I remember thinking was that I just know that it was so dark and deserted on that road. How could there have been anybody on the road? So it never even occurred to me that I hit a person. An animal, maybe.
Mrs. Castillo, you haven't said why you were way out there. Why were you there?
We didn't want anyone to see us.
Why not? What did you have to hide?
This is insane. First she places me at the scene of the accident, then she comes up with, what do we have here? Some innuendo that we're having some illicit affair? I can't believe, what are you doing to me? I thought we were friends.
You said that we were in this together.
What?
You said that you loved me.
You are out of your mind. You know that word? You are out of your mind. What are you doing, telling me you're not?
That is enough. This hearing is not going to degenerate into a personal argument. You've made your position clear, Mr. Timmons. Now, Mrs. Castillo, please sit down. Are you trying to state that you had a relationship with Mr. Timmons that went beyond the bounds of friendship?
Yes. We had an affair. Cruz. Santana, hija, no.
All right, excuse me. Now may I be allowed to speak? I think it's only fair.
Mr. Timmons, you made a full denial. I don't think anybody here missed it.
No, I hadn't had a chance to prove anything. This woman is in a bad way. I want to make some tests, some psychological evaluations. Give me 24 hours to have the whole thing cleared up.
Well, I also suggest that you get representation.
I don't need representation because this is absurd. These allegations are totally unfounded.
Well, I hope so, but I think you're going to need a good lawyer to refute them in any case. Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm Rosa Andrade, Mrs. Castillo's mother. I asked the lawyer if I could please speak to you.
Yes, please.
Your Honor, my daughter has been under a terrible strain for many weeks now. She needs to be with her husband. She has so much to explain. Can you please let her go for just a little while? All right, we'll adjourn very briefly. Mrs. Castillo, I would like to see you back here at 3 o'clock. Mr. Timmons, you too. 3 o'clock. Please.
Believe me, I never meant for this to happen.
The relationship with Keith, or am I finding out?
Cruz, I hated myself the whole time. There wasn't one moment of happiness. Just this horrible, empty feeling inside.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
Cruz, I couldn't keep lying to you. I saw you in there, listening to me and trying to believe in me, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
Oh, of course, that must have been tough on you. I deeply admire your timing. You know, you wait till there's a room full of people, and then you decide to tell me the truth.
I am the one who has made the fool out of myself. I can never forgive myself for this.
That makes 2 of us.
Cruz, please, oh God,
Forget
don't
it.
leave me. If you leave me, I couldn't go through this right now.
Get in there. Get in here. We made enough of a spectacle of ourselves today, don't you?
I'm sorry. I just couldn't take it if you deserted me now.
Apparently, I should have deserted you a long time ago, for my own sake.
Don't.
Hey,
that.
don't worry, I'm not
No.
going to say a thing. You're going to do the talking, lady. Start anytime.
I don't know why I did what I did.
I may not have been a great husband, but I was faithful to you.
Cruz, your body was faithful, but your heart...
You someone dare start to blame this on me.
I am just trying to explain to you why I lost it, why I lost control, because I thought I was losing you.
So you went to Keith.
Yes, I knew how you felt about him, so I just wanted to make you angry. I know that Keith was probably just using me to get to you, but I didn't care.
I think I'm going to be sick, you know?
Look,
Don't you think I know how this sounds? I am making myself say this so that maybe one day you'll trust me again.
I'll trust you again after you lied to me in my face how many times?
Cruz Keith told me that this was the only way. I wanted to come forward. But he was so terrified for himself, he convinced me not to. And then, when the truth started to come out, he said that I should say that I was in the car alone. He promised me that he would arrange it so that I wouldn't be tried. Cruz, please, I want you to know that I've always loved you. Maybe I've loved you too much. I'll always love you.
I'll take you home now. You can rest before you have to come back.
Thank you. You said that you would be there for me. But you decided to sell yourself out and run away. I just hate you! I hate you! Santana. I hate you!
Get her off of me!
Santana.
Get her off of me!
Get off of me!
Drop it! Get her outside. Take her outside.
Ventilisa.
Hell, I can do. Well, you know, I think you got to get your wife some medical help, Castillo. I'm sorry, I hate to see her come unraveled like that.
Like what?
I don't tell me you believe her story. Do you? You investigated the accident. You have a witness that testified she was alone in the car.
Well, you know, witnesses can't be mistaken.
Yeah, well. Don't think you're doing yourself any favors doing this, you know. I mean, you may think you're coming off like a loyal husband. What you're coming off as is a dumb cop.
I am a dumb cop.
All right, Mr. Timmons, you can respond to what Mrs. Castillo said earlier. Please be seated.
Okay, there are two major inaccuracies. I will take them one at a time. First, the alleged affair. It's true, I won't deny it. I was infatuated with Mrs. Castillo. That was in high school. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. Was then. Anybody can see that. But that was in high school. Since then, we've grown up. She's gotten married. I have a reputation to protect. I wouldn't commit professional suicide over an affair. We're friendly with each other. When we see each other, we talk, have a drink, but that's it. Now, the second major inaccuracy. I was not in the car that night.
Where were you, Mr. Timmons? Can you demonstrate your whereabouts elsewhere on the night in question?
Yes, I can.
Where were you, Mr. Timmons? Can you demonstrate your whereabouts elsewhere on the evening in question?
Yes, I can. And I can prove it.
Would you please tell us what that proof is?
Well, Your Honor, I was with another woman that night.
And what is the identity of that woman?
Her name is Gina Capua.
You are lying. You weren't with her. You were with me. He is lying. Your Honor.
Would you please tell your client that even though this is a preliminary hearing, that there is a certain decorum and that she must obey?
Oh, I wish you hadn't come.
I'm sorry. But I had to be here.
Yeah.
You must be going through hell. I wish there was something I could do.
There is. You could get as far away from all of this as possible.
I'm staying.